Hey there nation, welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with another episode of Shadows Over Mordheim, our weekly series of Mordheim Battle Reports, and this is Battle Report number 17. It is an Occupy scenario that's fought between my two friends, Fresh Prince Belair, as well as Lady Domina. Fresh Prince Belair is playing the Shades of Nagarythe, a Shadow Warriors warband, while Lady Domina is playing the Untamed Beasts, a Norse Marauders warband. So this one should be pretty good as they both try to fight for real estate within the City of the Damned. We're going to play some background music real quick. If you want to see exactly what each of the warbands is bringing, so we got pictures for each of the warbands as well as the rosters. Go ahead and pause, take a look at your own leisure. So that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
Alright, so the scenario rules for this one is called Occupy. Pretty much my friends deploy within 8 inches of a table edge, and pretty much the idea is that you need to capture D3 plus 2 buildings on the battlefield. You basically start from the center of the battlefield and rotate your way outward, and a building is considered captured when a standing fighter occupies it, so whoever has the most fighters in that building ends up claiming it for their team. In this game, it's basically one of two ways: either one, when you rout the enemy warband, or two, you survive 8 rounds of combat, whatever happens first. For your experience on this one, you get 1 point of experience for each of the fighters who manage to survive the scenario, as well as 1 point of experience for the winning warband leader, and also for heroes, earn 1 point of experience for each enemy they take out of action as well. So with the scenario rules over with Occupy, let's go and talk about the battle plan for this one. Alright, so here's an overhead shot of the entirety of the battlefield. As you can see, my friends are playing on a 4x4 table. My friend Fresh Prince Belair is deployed on the near side of the table. My friend Lady Domina is deployed on the far side of the table. And as you can see right there, we have 5 buildings that have been marked out for territories. And you can tell because there's little white dice on top of each of the smokestacks. We have the Smith's Workshop, which is the building right on the left-hand side with the orange roof. It's got the building as well as a shed right next to it. We also have the Tavern, which is over in the top of the top left-hand corner of the building. That's the one that's with the black roof there. In the center, we have the Watchtower, which is our 3rd building. On the right-hand side, we have the Tenement, which is the upper right-hand corner. We have an orange building, a roof building there. And then finally, we got the double-decker ruin right there on the right-hand side as well. And that makes it the 5 buildings that my friends will be fighting over for this one. And those are the buildings they'll be trying to occupy as well. Now, as for the battle plan, I'm not really sure what my friends' plans or tactics were for this one, because I'm just the arbitrator in this battle report. All I did was I took photos and recorded the results. You really have to ask them. But if I had to guess, as you can see, they got little squads lined up along their deployment areas. So I guess what they're planning on doing is moving forward with their squads and trying to secure each building going that way. That's pretty much what they're planning on doing. So with the battle plan over, let's go and talk about deployment real quick. Alright, so starting with deployment for the Shades of Nagarythe. Up in the front, we have Silent Fane. He's an elf ranger. He's got an elf bow, sword, elven cloak. He's got the secret excellent sight special rules. Right behind him, the dark-haired warrior, that is, what's his name? That's Ramael the Silent Strider, that's his name. He's a shadow warrior. He's got a shield, longbow, as well as a sword. And right behind him is Tora the Silent Strider as well. He's got the exact same kit out, shield, longbow, as well as sword. And both those guys are henchmen. Meanwhile, in the center, we have another 4-man squad over here as well. Up on the left-hand side, that is Rahab. He is a Shadow Walker with light armor, shield, longbow, sword. He's got powerful build as well as the hardened skills. Right next on the right-hand side is Malkaya. He's got light armor, shield, longbow, sword. He's got the sniper special rule. Right behind him on the left-hand side, that is Raguel. Raguel has got light armor, shield, longbow, as well as a sword. And right next on the right-hand side, that is Duma, who is a Shadow Weaver. He's got the Horn of Nagarythe. He's got a longbow, sword. He's also got the Wizard special rule as well as the Madness Frenzy special rule as well, and the spells he has for this one are Shield of Shadow as well as Cloak of Darkness, and that makes up the deployment here in the left hand side of the center. And finally, on the right-hand side, we have another 4-man squad. On the left-hand side, that character's name is Zephon. Sorry, not Zephon. Cassiel is his name. Cassiel is a Shadow Warrior novice. He's got a shield as well as a spear. Next on the right-hand side is Samael. He's a Shadow Warrior novice as well with a shield and spear, and those two guys are henchmen. In the back left, that is Raziel. He's the Shadow Master. He's the leader of this warband. He's got heavy armor, helmet, shield, longbow, great weapon. He's also got the powerful build as well as leader skills. And our next on the right-hand side, that is Zephon. Zephon is a Shadow Warrior with a standard Nagarythe. He's got a sword as well as light armor. And that pretty much makes the deployment for the Shades of Nagarythe. So jumping across the battlefield to the Untamed Beasts, on the left-hand side we have two hunters. On the front, that is Kairos. He's got a dagger as well as a bow, and right behind him is Nightbraid. She's equipped with dagger, axe, as well as a bow. So that makes up Lady Dama's left-hand deployment. In the left half of her center deployment, we got 3 hunters. Those characters are Makat, Shuya, as well as Shroya. All 3 of those hunters are equipped with shield, twin axes, as well as bows. And on the right-hand side, we have the right-hand half of her center deployment. We have another 4-man squad. In the back, that is Tenyet First Fang. He is a berserker. He's equipped with shield. He's got a great weapon and throwing axes. He's got the Seaman, Berserk Charge, Berserker special rules, as well as a leg wound. So because he has -1 to his movement. Up in the front, that is Ugla the Maul. He's a Wolfen. He's got horrible scars, fear, sprint, and bestial special rules, as well as blinded in one eye. In the center, that is Thedra Skullscryer. She is a warlock. She's also a mercenary. She's got a staff, as well as Fires of Uzul, as well as Flight of Zimmerman as her spells. And on the right-hand side, that is Mayim's Beast Speaker. She's another berserker. She's got a shield, flail, throwing axes. She's got the Seaman, as well as berserker special rules. And that makes up Lady Dama's right-hand half of her center deployment. And finally, on the far right-hand flank, another 5-man deployment. In the back, that is Veril Hearteater. He is the Jarl, which is the leader of this warband. He's got a helmet, shield, axe, throwing axes. He's got the Seaman as well as leader skill. On the left-hand side in the front, that is Shanked. Shanked is a bondsmith with shield, great weapon. He's got the Seaman, Berserker Charge special rules, as well as a leg wound. Next on the right-hand side, that is Cleft Skull. Cleft Skull is another bondsman with a shield. He's packing a great axe. He's got throwing axes as well as the Seaman, Berserker Charge, as well as the Madness Frenzy special rule attached to him. And then finally on the right hand side, we got 2 Marauders. We have Halkrunt as well as Darkbuck. They're both Marauders, and they're both armed with great weapons. And that pretty much makes up the deployment for Lady Dama's Untamed Beasts. So with deployment over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 1, and my friends roll off for initiative to see which of them will be going first. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of turn number 1 for the Untamed Beasts. Lady Dama managed to get the initiative on this battlefield, and the first thing she does, of course, is she just advances forward as quickly as she can. She is playing Norse Marauders. These guys really throw it down pretty well in close combat, so there is no need for her to hold back. Pretty much she just runs the entirety of her warband forward. She sends up Nightbraid as Kairos along the top of the aqueduct. She also sends her hunters down the center. One of her hunters actually claims the black roofed tavern building in the upper left-hand corner. She does exactly the same thing with her 4-man posse led by Thedra Skullscryer running down the center right. At the same time, Veril Hearteater as well as his 4-man squad are moving along the length of the river on the right hand side as well. And that pretty much makes a remove phase for this part. So there's a close-up of Kairos as well as Nightbraid. Now these fighters, if I remember correctly, I think they just moved up their normal allowance on the left-hand side. They did try to shoot during the shooting phase, but unfortunately for them though, they're just out of range, so they're able to get that done. And there's a close-up of the center left-hand side as well. I believe that is Makat, I believe who that is. That's one of the hunters that's armed with twin axes as well as bow and a shield. And that character has taken this building, so they claim 1 building for their occupation rules. And over here on the right-hand side, as you can see, that Berserkers, Mayim Beast Speaker, as well as Tenyet First Fang, along with Thedra Skullscryer, moving forward as quick as they possibly can, with Ugla the Maw taking the point. And finally, we have the Bondsman Shanked, as well as Cleft Skull, as well as the Marauders Halkrunt and Darkbuck, led by Veril Hearteater, running up as quick as they can along the bank of the river as well. So the move phase over with, you go directly to the shooting phase. And in the shooting phase, Lady Dama casts Flight of Zimmerman for Thedra Skullscryer. She goes flying for 12 inches directly into the black-roofed double-decker building and securing the second building for their occupation rules as well. And that pretty much makes up the turn for the Untamed Beasts. So with that, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 1 for the Shadow Warriors, and this is photos taken after the movement phase. We skipped the recovery phase because there is no point at this point. There's no reason to do it at this point. And as you can see in this photo, my friend First Prince Belair just starts setting up his forces pretty quickly as well. On the left-hand side, the little squad he's got on the top of the aqueducts, they move forward their normal mood allowance. Actually, not their former mood allowance. I'm sorry. One of the paths that Ramael and Tora, the Silent Striders, the 2 Shadow Warriors, they run forward 10 inches, moving as quick as they can, while Silent Fang just moves up her normal wind allowance, so that way he can open fire with his elven bow. Meanwhile, on the bottom there, as you can see, that little fire team led by Duma the Shadow Weaver, they run up forward as quick as they can, trying to occupy the wagon, heading towards the Cinder Watchtower, as well as trying to occupy the blacksmith shop. At the same time, Castiel and Samael run to the base of the building, the triple-decker building that's claimed by Thaedra Skullscryer. Looks like they're my buddy Fresh Prince Polaris planning on sending those guys in there. And at the same time, moves up Raziel as well as Zephon, just moving up their normal wound allowance, so that way Raziel can open up with his longbow. And that pretty much makes it the move phase for this one. So here's a close-up of Ramael and Tora of the Silent Striders moving as quick as they can, as well as Silent Fae getting ready to open up with his elven bow. And here's a close-up of Rahab as well as Malkaya getting ready to occupy the blacksmith shop. Meanwhile, Raguel as well as Duma keep on running forward in order to cause more trouble. And finally, here's a close-up of Raziel as well as Zephon getting ready to lay down some suppressive fire, while Castiel and Samael charge forward in order to engage that building to take on Thaedra's Skullscryer. And that pretty much makes up the move phase on this one. So with the move phase over, we go directly to the shooting phase, and the first thing that my friend Fresh Prince Polaris decides to do is to cast Shield of Darkness off onto Duma, and pretty much what that spell does means that that fighter cannot be attacked until he attacks another warrior. So for now, Duma is perfectly safe, which is actually a pretty good plan for him to run around and occupy buildings with. And at the same time, I believe it is Rahab that opens up with his bow directly into Shuga, which is one of the hunters. Managed to put that guy directly out of action. I think it's because he got a critical hit off with his shot as well. Shuga does make a full recovery, so no harm, no foul. But at the same time, though, the Untamed Beasts have one less fighter to depend upon, and first blood goes to the Shades of Nagarythe. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for Lady Domina as well as the Untamed Beasts. So with that, we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Untamed Beasts. They basically skip the recovery phase because there's no point for it to do it at this time, and we go directly to the move phase. And as you can see in this photo, some dramatic movement has taken place for the most part. First thing that ends up happening is that my friend Lady Dama decides to declare a charge at Ugla the Maw, and Ugla the Maw goes charged directly into the Shadow Warrior novices at the base of the building. At the same time, she also moves up her hunters along the top of the Aqueducts, K-Roz, and Nightbraid. They move up their normal moon allowance so that way they can open fire as well. At the same time, she then takes her hunter, I believe it is Shroya is his name, as well as moves him up just down the left-hand side, so that way it's a better shot off directly onto those Shadow warriors on the left-hand side, so that way you can pop them off. At the same time, she also continues her assault along the right-hand flank, sending her forces forward, actually sending in one of her berserkers to occupy the building with the orange roof there on the right-hand side as well. And that pretty much makes up her move phase on this one. So here's a close-up of the left-hand side with Nightbraid as well as K-Roz moving up forward in the Royal Moonlance, so that way they come to fire. Meanwhile, on the ground, Shroya moves up forward, so that way she has a good line of shot directly towards the Shadow Warriors. At the same time, a cat climbs to the roof of the building, so that way he can open fire with his bow as well. And here's a close-up of Mayim Beastspeaker taking point, going to the very base of the watchtower with Tenya at First Fang occupying the building there on the left-hand side. And here's a close-up of Ugla the Maw going directly into one of the Shadow Warrior novices. I believe that's Samael is who he's charged into, so because of that he will be engaged into close combat. And finally, here's a close-up of the rest of the forces. I believe it is Halkrunt is his name. He's the marauder who goes directly into the building in order to secure it for the team. At the same time, Shaint and Cleftjaw, as well as Darkbuck, they run up forward with Varel the Heart Eater, trying to chase him as quick as they possibly can down the right-hand side in order to gauge targets. So with the move phase over, we go directly to the shooting phase. And during the shooting phase, Thaedra Skullscryer casts the spell Fires of Uzul, is what the name of the spell. It's got 18-inch range, fires a strength 4 fireball with a armor-piercing roll directly into, what's his name? I believe his name is Castiel's name, yeah. Managed to put that poor guy, I managed to knock him out, so because of that he goes crashing to the ground, and he's currently stunned at this point, laying face down and currently bleeding out as well. Meanwhile, exactly on the right-hand side, exactly the same thing ends up happening over here. The combined fire of K-Roz, Nightbraid, as well as Makat and Shroya open up directly into the Shadow Warriors. Managed to put knockout results on stun results on both of them, and I believe the last one though was an out-of-action result, and I believe it's because it's a critical shot. I think it might have came from K-Roz, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but K-Roz opened up, I think, and hit him with a critical shot. It was enough to cause 2 points of damage and puts him directly out of action. So because of that, what's his name? Tora the Silent Strider does go out of action. But Ramael the Silent Strider does go out of action. However, he makes a full recovery, so no harm, no foul. However, Silent Fane starts having second thoughts whether the money is good or not for him to be here in the first place, and he fails his leadership test to see if he panics or not. Because of that, he does flee, I think 8 inches. He goes down the base of the ladder in order to try to escape, so he'll need to recover his nerve during the recovery phase as well. So from there we go directly to the combat phase, and needless to say, Ugla the Maw just put the hurting directly onto Samael, put that poor guy out of action as well. To make matters worse, Samael of course does make a full recovery, so there's no harm for no foul there, but Ugla the Maw does overrun directly into Castiel, so he'll be engaging that guy in close combat as well. So things are not looking very good right now for the combat phase, and nor for the shooting phase for the High Elves at this point. So with that, we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Shadow Warriors, and we go directly to recovery phase. And unfortunately for my friend Fresh Prince Belair, he does have to take a route test because over a third of his forces are either down or they're out of action at this point. And as you can see from this little misfire die icon, he does fail his route test. So because of that, the Shades of Nagarythe decide to abandon their plans to occupy the ruins of Mordheim, and they retreat. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That takes directly to the end of the game with the Norse Marauders of the Untamed Beasts snagging the win on this Occupy scenario as well. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go directly to the After Action Report because this game is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Alright, so now we go directly to the post game. So starting off with injuries for the Shades and Nagarythe, we have Ramael and Samael. Both those guys make full recovery without any problems whatsoever. When it goes to the advancements, 4 members of this warband do advance. Melchiah levels up to +1 to his leadership, so now that Shadow Walker has a better leadership, about the same amount as Raziel. At the same time, the new guy Raguel, he actually learns the infiltration special skill, so he'll be able to come in at any time he wants during the battlefield in order to pop in ambushes on his enemies. The Silent Striders, both Ramael as well as Tora, both those guys level up as well, earning +1 to the ballistic skill, so now they're even deadlier shooting. And then finally, of course, Silent Fane also levels up as well, earning +1 to his wound characteristics, so now that guy is packing 2 wounds. During the exploration phase, they found 4 shards of Weirdstone, as well as finding a corpse carrying a light suit of armor. So that part's kind of nice. In the trading post, they earned 65 gold pieces from selling their Weirdstone, of which 20 gold pieces were spent to rehire Silent Fane. They then purchased an additional set of light armor, and they gave the found suit of light armor to the Silent Striders. So both those guys now have 5-up saves. They also purchased bows for the 2 Shadow Warrior novices for Castiel as well as Samael, and they placed the 5 remaining gold pieces they had left over into their treasury. Their new record now is at 1 win and 4 losses, and their new rating now is at 175 points. And lastly, we go to the Untamed Beasts, the winners of this scenario. For the injuries, they only had 1 injury, which is Shuga. Shuga actually got a full recovery from that, so everything's perfectly fine for them. For the advancements, several members of this warband did level up. Veril, the Heart Eater, the Jarl for this unit, for this warband, leveled up, guarding +1 to his strength, so now he is strength 5 in close combat. Mayim Beast Speaker, one of the berserkers, leveled up, getting +1 to her leadership, and Ugla the Maw, the Wolfen, leveled up as well, earning +1 to his toughness. Shanked and Cleft Skull, the 2 bondsmen, also leveled up as well, earning the Strongman skill, so because of that, they don't have to worry about striking last with their great weapons. At the same time, Kairos leveled up, he got +1 to his strength, and Nightbraid, she also leveled up, earning +1 to her attacks. During the exploration phase, they found 5 shards of Weirdstone, and they discovered an overturned card carrying a master map of Mordheim, which is actually really cool, which means they get to re-roll 1 dice during the exploration phase from this point now on, so long as the character who's carrying it is, didn't go out of action. From the trading post, they earned 70 gold pieces from their Weirdstone shards, and from those 70 gold pieces, they spent 15 of them to rehire Thadra's Skull Square. They then purchased light armor for Veril Heart Eater, as well as Mayim Beast Speaker, as well as shields for Halcrunt, as well as Darkbug. They then took the 5 remaining gold pieces they had left over and put it directly into their treasury. Their new record now is at 2 wins and 3 losses, and the new warband rating is at 183 points. So that's going to do it for this one, you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest, greatest hobby news related to our channel. That's good to do for this one, you guys. We'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.